Whitney Houston was born August 9, 1963. The daughter of Sissy and cousin of Dionne Warwick, Houston started her career in 1983 when Clive Davies, the head of Arista Records, sees and hears potential in Houston at a showcase arranged by Arista's executive, Jerry Griffiths, and signs her to a worldwide contract. With the help of her mother and cousin Dionne Warwick guiding her career from singing gospel to backing vocals, in 1985 she releases her first single, You Give Good Love. December sees the release of Sending All My Love, which becomes an immediate worldwide success. Her debut album, entitled Whitney Houston, spends 100 weeks in the charts, becoming one of the best-selling albums of that year. In 1986, her song, The Greatest Love of All, tops the U.S. charts on its release. She also wins an Emmy Award for her individual performance. In April 1988, Houston breaks all chart records by achieving 7 consecutive hits, overtaking the previous holders, the Beatles and the Bee Gees, who each had 6 apiece. In 1989, Houston wins Female Pop and Soul Artist Awards at the American Music Awards. In August of 1989, Houston duets with longtime friend Aretha Franklin.
Do this and we're going to take that out and I don't know, about this and I don't know about that. He takes it apart and produces it and makes it sound like a record, and all that crazy stuff that you can have going on in a record. He takes it out and makes it sound like it makes sense, and that's exactly what he does and does it well.
As well as Houston's current hit, Walden produced and co-wrote her mega smash, How Will I Know, and has recently produced hits for Aretha Franklin and the E Street Band's Clarence Clemens. While Walden also drums, writes, and sings, it is in the studio that he really works his magic. You're probably the hottest producer around right now in pop music. What defines a really great producer? What's your definition?
Someone who is nice to be around, who has great ears to help make some music that people will respond to. I am someone who loves music, number one, and all my life I've listened to pop music, jazz music, funk, soul, everything. So when I work with an artist, I try to use some of the background of other great recordings that have been done, be it Beatles, be it Motown's great era, and bring to the artist something that is of their soul and that everyone can identify, and yet still very 87, very, very current.
When you start working with an artist, do you come into the studio with preconceived ideas of what will come out? What happens if something just evolves? Do you go with the flow?
Yeah, if it's magic, you have to go with the flow. But I do my homework, Before I work with the vocalist, I go in the studio and put a rough vocal on that tape, the way I would like to hear it, the way I think it should be performed. And I send that tape to whatever singer I'm working with, and then they have a chance to digest what I'm hearing, and then bring to it what they want to bring to it. At least we have a common ground. If they come in without me knowing what I want, and then they're kind of fooling around, the energy is gone before you have a chance to really identify what you really need.
I performed with my mother, you know, for the United Negro College Fund, and I think that was probably my first encounter with, you know, an organization such as the UNCF. Now it's sort of like it's on my own.
Actually, that's where she started, being a model.
Yeah, a lot of things came out of
Yeah.
that.
Out of your first performance for the United Negro College Fund.
A big photographer took pictures of her there and myself, you know what I mean. And he called and said, "She's beautiful. Why don't you take her to the model agency? Why don't you go up there and see there was a model agency just opening up?"
Yeah,
I said, "You want to
that's
go?"
very true, yeah.
She says, "Yeah, Ma." She said, "What do you think?" I said, "What can we lose?" And that's how it all started.
Whitney, when you sing gospel style with your mom, does it draw a different part out of you than when you're singing a pop song?
It takes me back to when I was younger and I was singing in church and watching my mother sit in the front row and looking at me and going, you know, it just sort of takes me back to a time and place that, you know, that she and I only know about, you know, and that none of this was there, none of this was here. Whitney Houston wasn't there, so it just takes me back.
And what's that like for you, Sissy, when you're out there with Whitney?
Well, it's almost like deja vu. It's like hearing yourself, you know, sing. It's a real kind of feeling that you really can't explain.
You can't
it goes
explain,
so deep,
yeah.
and so I'm crying most of the time. I think we both are when we get to a point
Yeah.
where, you know, it's just a magical kind of thing.
Whitney, does it bring out a different dynamism when you're on stage with your mom?
I don't know. It's like it's my mother. So I'm looking at my mother, and it's hard to explain, you know, exactly what it is that you feel. You're just looking and you're going, wow. And sometimes I go, I wonder if I'm going to look like that. Or I wonder if I'm going to sound that way. You know, a lot of things are running through my mind, you know, but it's just very strange, you know. It's like when I was recording with my mother, and then we would play the tape back, and I couldn't tell who it was that was singing. And that was really deep, you know. I was like, oh, this is just too much for me. But it's very deep, you know. It's connected to the soul.
Prince of Peace you are. Prince of Peace you are. Prince of Peace you are. Prince of Peace.
A lot of your black audience has been a little bit critical in the last year about your singing songs that were less in the soul tradition or in the gospel tradition, that you went a little too far to the pop side. How do you feel about that kind of criticism?
I don't know. What do they want? What do they want me to do? I don't think that I don't really get involved into that kind of thing. You know, I think music is music. You know, I mean, how do I sing more black, or how do I sing? What am I doing that's making me sound white? I don't understand. You know, I'm singing music from my heart, from my soul, and that's it. So I don't really think it's an issue in my life.
How would you like to see your work continue to unfold? What are the goals that you have?
I guess one of my goals is just to stay a good human being and to be a good person. And I don't know, just get married, have some kids, you know, do something different besides making music, movies, that kind of thing, you know. That's my next step, you know, as far as my goals are concerned. But to basically just stay level-headed, you know, and to not have all this take me, you know, around the world in 80 days and come back somebody else, you know. I like who I am.
In the last couple of months, you have had some sort of controversial publicity for the first time in your career, mostly about how much people perceive your career to have been orchestrated. How do you feel about that?
Well, I don't know about orchestrated. Everything that we have done has worked. If that's orchestrated, then I guess that's what it is. You know, we didn't plan to have, or I didn't plan to have things, you know, me sell 6 million copies first time, and then the second time, this is going to happen, and this is going to happen, it's going to happen. We just, you know, Arista and myself just played it right, you know. We obviously did the right things, and that's success, you know. And if success is orchestrated, then I want to orchestrate it for the rest of my life.
How important is it for performers to use their platform to benefit other people?
I think it's very important. I think if it is done from the heart, you know, and if it's given that way, I think it's important. You know, people sort of say that, you know, oh, they're going to get publicity out of this. You know, I don't need any more publicity, really, you know. So if it's done from the heart, which is where I'm coming from, I think it's, you know, it's worth it.
What does it mean to have somebody of Whitney's stature associated with this kind of a project? What does it do for you?
It's tremendous. There are so many youngsters who are her fans, and they have to think about college when they know she's doing something for the United Negro College Fund. They love her, and then there's this extra dimension of making something out of their lives.
How important is it for you to be a role model out there?
I don't know. It's important to set an example, you know. If young people look at my life and look at what I've done and say, wow, I can do that too, that's the kind of role model that I like to present, you know. But as far as doing it like Whitney does it, or, you know, that's impossible, you know. I would imagine that if you're going to do it, then do it better than me, you know. I would like that, so.
Did you have role models out there, and who were they?
Yeah, my mom, my role model. I think more, it was basically my mother, you know, because she was real to me. It wasn't like I had to reach for a star or look at somebody and say, oh, you know, I want to be like them. You know, my mother was a great example to me as far as, you know, values and morals and things of that nature.
I think it's very important that we show some kind of interest in our youngsters, to show them the kind of way. I think it's a great responsibility for people like Whitney, or entertainers, but I think still that the impact that they have on the public and on our young people is very important.
How do you choose what you participate in?
What touches me, you know, closely to my heart, you know, young people always do, you know, not just black or white or green or yellow, it's all young people, you know. I don't regret not going to college. I think now that I am older and I'm pretty much set, you know, maybe now I would consider going back, you know, or taking some courses.
Don't get her hopes up. Is that a lot of what you still do, you know, do the mother and daughter thing?
Definitely, definitely. I'm always correcting her for some reason, or whatever. You know how mothers are.
Yes.
A pain in the neck. But most of the time, I'm very, you know, well, all the time, I'm very proud of her. When I look critically, I just think she can sometimes improve.
So you have a support system there to remind you who you
yeah.
are. If you were going to influence kids out there, particularly young black kids, what would you hope to influence them most directly to do?
Just to be the best, you know. If this is what you want, whatever it is that you want, go for it and be the best that you can. Put everything into it, you know. That means time, work, dedication, and all the things that makes one successful, you know. That's what I would say.
Going into the family business can be tough on any offspring, but it has clearly been an advantage to pop singer Whitney Houston. She's the daughter of singer Cissy Houston and first cousin of Dionne Warwick. Whitney Houston joins us this morning, only 24 hours or so back from a very successful European tour.
Yes.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Do you ever wonder, without the connections, your mother and your cousin, your own talent might never have been discovered?
I would hate to think that. I would like to think that what I have, what's been God-given to me, would have gotten me into it, you know, anyway. It's one thing for having your mom and your cousin being so successful in the business, but it's something that you have to do on your own, you know. You have to establish your own abilities. I mean, it's great to have them as my family and, you know, got me a lot of places, but I'd like to think I could do it on my own.
Now, I wouldn't argue with that either, but I've seen a little of your work, and maybe some of the people who are listening are still suspicious that you are only getting attention because you are the daughter of and the cousin of. If we'd like to dismiss that notion, what do you say we look at a clip of Whitney Houston's single, You Make Good Love, the video? Oh, face like that can handle close-ups like this, you are also a professional and a successful model.
I've been modeling for about 6 years. I still am doing it, but for the moment, I've been recording and promoting my album and doing what has to be done to that. So I've kind of put it aside for the moment because I can't do everything at one time.
Well, wait a minute. Well, you also do some acting.
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
Don't you have to make up your mind at some point?
I don't think so. I think
This is known as having it all, isn't it?
Oh, well, I think one will feed off the other. I mean, singing and music is my first love. It's what comes before anything and everything. But I think acting and modeling and things of that nature is just another form of entertaining. So I think they'll feed off one another at some point.
How much did you learn from your mother and your cousin, and how much of it is just intuitive, innate, genetic, maybe?
I think it's there already. I think it was kind of passed on to me. It's like in my blood. The learning and the growing and the things that you should know about the business comes from my mother and teaching me and telling me these things. When I decided to become an entertainer, she said, "Oh, you want to be a singer, huh?" And she said, "Well, do you want to be in show business?" I said, "Well, isn't that the same thing? I mean, I want to sing, so that's what I want to do." She said, "No, it's a whole different world." But I guess Dion has been a great inspiration to me. I've learned so much from her. But my mom she's taught me everything that I know.
Now, how long have you been a struggling entertainer? Not long, right? Not much struggle in your professional life.
Hard work, but not struggle. I haven't had to struggle.
Did your mother?
My mom, her struggling came through, I think, just having to deal with having a family and raising children. And I think what she did, she chose to have the family and to raise her children and to have her husband and that kind of thing, and to make sure that we got the proper love and care.
And you, between modeling, acting, singing, touring, you family some other life?
No, family is very important to me. I try to keep in close contact with my family, but they understand that I have so much to do and I'm here and there, but I don't live very far from my mom. I live about 20 minutes away from my mother, so.
Not too far from the nest. Well,
no.
Whitney Houston, we'll be hearing more from you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good luck.
Thank you.
While preparing for her new album, she is showered with scripts by Robert De Niro and friend Eddie Murphy. However, after long deliberation, she decides on The Bodyguard, a film starring Kevin Costner. In May 1990, Houston receives the 1990 Hitmaker Award at the Songwriters Hall of Fame at the Hilton Hotel in New York. That same year, she attends a celebration at the White House for Children's Day. In January 1991, Houston wins an award for Distinguished Achievement by the American Cinema Foundation. She also captures America's heart by performing the Star-Spangled Banner at Super Bowl 25. Demands for the performance result in a single and video release. 1992 sees the release of The Bodyguard with co-star Kevin Costner, and although critics dislike the film, it still earns $125 million at the box office, with world sales of the soundtrack at 23 million copies.
Houston is up for Best Pop Female Performer, an honor she's won twice before. I talked with Houston recently in Los Angeles about her career, which is taking a new direction into acting.
I think many people would have liked to believe that I was an overnight sensation.
You don't think of yourself as a star?
No, I don't. No, I really don't.
But you are.
So I've heard. So I've heard. Considered myself having a great voice, you know. I still don't think that I have reached my great voice potential.
Oh, come on.
I don't. I've done some great material. I've done some great work. And it's hard for me to listen to myself and say, oh, yeah, you really sound good. You know what I'm saying? I am very critical of myself, you know.
You were only 19 years old when you were signed to Arista Records.
Mm-hmm.
How did you handle the success so fast at such a young age?
Well, see, I have a mother that helps me to keep my feet on the ground, you know what I'm saying? She's the kind of mom, you know, both my parents are realists, you know, and they have always made it very important to let me know that, you know, they can tell you they love you, they can tell you you're wonderful, they can tell you you're great, but Mommy and Daddy are going to tell you the truth, you know, and we love you because you're ours. We love you not because you're Whitney Houston, you're famous.
And her fame is branching out onto the big screen. Houston is currently filming Bodyguard, her first movie, and her co-star just happens to be Kevin Costner.
Not bad, Whitney.
Yeah, that's not bad, huh? And all of a sudden, I get this call from this guy named Kevin, and he asked me if I wanted to do a film with him. And I said, well, I don't know, you know, what's this film about?
And here Kevin Costner's like begging you to do a movie with him.
I didn't beg me.
Well, he's like asking you.
Yeah, he asked me.
And you had to think about it.
Well, you know, yeah, because I wanted to know what it was about, you know.
Well, you're quite critical of yourself as a singer. How do you think you are as an actress?
Oh, I don't know, you know.
You don't look at those dailies?
And those early mornings. Ooh. Can we talk about the early mornings? That's the hardest part.
I guess I don't have to worry about you trying to get my job on the Today Show then,
No,
huh?
baby, you got that. You got that. No, no. Yes, Bobby is the man of my life, and I'm very much in love and I'm very happy.
Is he the man you want to marry?
Yeah. And he's the man I want to have children with. That's the one thing that I know that I don't have that I want, you know. I can't say that there's anything else. I feel so blessed to just have done what I have done. To be able to just use what God has given me is a blessing, you know. Never mind the Grammys, never mind the records, never mind all of that. Just to be able to sing and to have people, you know, when I stand on stage and I look out in the audience and I'm singing and I look at people's faces, I know what's in their hearts and I know what they're feeling. And as long as that's happening for me and as long as I keep that rapport, I'll keep singing. I'm going to keep doing it.
And let me tell you something. In the shower, I sound just like you.
In the shower, I sound just like me, too.
I should be so lucky. Now, if you want to check out her acting talent, her movie Bodyguard is scheduled to open this summer. And of course,
I had the best time working with Kevin. You know, first of all, Kevin's the kind of person, he's a regular kind of guy. You know what I'm saying? I mean, people see Kevin and they say, oh, God, how is it being next to him? How is it working with America's hunk and all that stuff, you know? But I'm telling you, you know, from day to day, you know, working with him, you know, I saw the man that, you know, was the actor, you know, part director, you know, producer, you know, who cared about, you know, your lines, what words you were saying, you know, all that stuff. When we came in the morning, it was like, you know, we weren't sex symbols at all. You know, we were ready to work, you know. That was the
It
thing.
wasn't intimidating at all, being around him?
No, because he made it very comfortable for me. You know, he was kind enough and gracious enough to ensure that I was comfortable, you know, being that it was my first film. And he understood that. And he knows what it can be like to be doing your first film. So he was really kind and very, very, very kind.
What kind of advice did he give you in terms of your acting? I know you offered to take acting lessons, and they said not to.
Yeah, yeah.
What did he tell you? What sort of suggestions did he give you?
The most important thing I think that Kevin taught me in acting is to listen, you know, to have contact, to speak without really saying words, to look at each other and to speak with your eyes, you know. Sometimes dialogue can get in the way, you know, of what you're really, when people look at you, they see what's in here, you know, and in here, you know, and he taught me that this is the most important place, right in here. Your eyes are going to tell the story.
Now, Whitney, girl. Girl. I've been reading that Kevin Costner cut out some of your nude scenes. Is that true, or is this just some fodder for the tabloids, or what's the deal here?
Wow. Well, he cut out some nude scenes, but they weren't mine. They were somebody else's.
Oh,
I didn't do any nude scenes. No, it was my double.
Your body double?
God bless her. Yeah. I guess, you know, it's all in the edit, you know. And when you go in that room, you know, they know pretty much what looks good and what doesn't, you know, so you kind of leave it up to the editor.
Were you approached about doing nude scenes by Kevin
no,
or by
I
anybody
wasn't.
else?
That was already, I didn't even, you know, leave that open for questioning. You know, when I did my contract, that was already said that, you know, Whitney will not be showing any bod.
Just something you didn't feel comfortable doing?
No, no, you know. To simulate, you know, making love is one thing, you know. Just to be on a set where there are a lot of people watching you do something that is a very intimate act is an uncomfortable feeling already. So therefore, I just couldn't imagine myself doing that with my clothes off. I would not have made it, you know. I just would not have, you know. And not that I think there's anything wrong with being comfortable with your nudity, but it just wasn't right for me.
Wasn't your thing?
Not my thing, no.
You do a lot of singing in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Was that fun to be able to sort of mix both of your careers?
Yes, it was. Actually, it was a release, you know, from being disciplined toward, you know, being an actress, you know. You know, there were moments when I said, oh, God, you know, I'm just not going to make it. This is really, you know, the 6 o'clock in the mornings and being ready at 8 and having to be fabulous by 8:30, you know, and they're doing a close-up shot on you at 8 o'clock, you know, and all that kind of early morning stuff that it's not really my kind of thing.
Tell me about it.
Yeah, like today. But, you know, to do the music was kind of like going home for me.